All right, so welcome to the deep dive, and today we are going to get into a book that I think is going to sort of pull the curtain back a little bit on how things actually work when it comes to people working together in organizations. And it's called Power: Why Some People Have It and Others Don't by Jeffrey Pfeffer.
Yeah.
So
really good book.
Now, I think if you're listening to this, you're probably someone who
Absolutely.
is on a personal growth journey.
Yes.
You're interested in what makes people tick.
Right.
So I think this is really going to be up your alley.
For sure. Forget about all of that, kind of rah leadership stuff that you hear all the time.
Right.
This is really getting into the mechanics of influence.
Okay.
Why certain ideas gain traction, why certain people rise in organizations, and, how you can use these dynamics to your advantage.
I like it.
So in this deep dive,
yeah,
we really want to extract the most useful insights from the book. So things that you can actually put into practice right away.
So right off the bat,
Yeah.
Pfeffer's main argument in this book is that organizational life is
it's inherently
political. Yeah. And it's not always about being the best at your job.
Exactly. And it's not always about working hard and doing a good job.
You're always told.
You'd think.
Yeah, just work hard, put your head down.
Right.
Everything's going to work out.
It'll sort itself out.
But that's not really
It's a nice story.
the reality.
But that's not how it goes.
So what Pfeffer is saying is that you have to understand power dynamics.
You have to play the game in order to...
Whether you realize it or not, you are playing the game.
Yeah, whether you like it or not.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's get into some of the key ideas.
Let's dive into it.
And figure out what we can actually...
And make it actionable.
Do with this information.
So let's start with the
personal qualities that Pfeffer identifies that are associated with people who have power.
Okay.
And the first one is this idea of self-awareness and confidence.
Okay, self-awareness and confidence.
Right. And it's important to note that he says it's not just about being the best.
Okay.
It's about appearing confident.
So it's how you're perceived by others.
Your image.
Yeah, it's not just your internal feeling.
Yeah, and so it's about projecting that certainty and that confidence.
Okay.
Because people naturally follow those who seem sure of themselves and their ideas.
That makes sense.
Right, so a key takeaway here is to work on projecting that confidence.
Okay.
Even if you don't feel it all the time.
Right.
Fake it till you make it. That's what I tell myself.
Right.
Just project that, and it can change how others perceive you and your ideas.
I like it. So what's next?
What is the next one? So the next one is energy and physical presence.
Energy and physical presence.
Right. And Pfeffer argues that people who exude energy tend to command more attention and respect.
Right.
Think about it. When someone walks in the room and they have this presence, you feel you're drawn to them.
How do we cultivate that, though? Can you just flip a switch and become this?
I wish there was a switch.
Yeah.
I haven't found it yet.
Energetic presence.
But what I have found is that if you manage your physical well-being, you sleep well, you exercise, you eat right.
I get it.
All those things really fuel your energy levels.
Yeah, okay.
And how you present yourself to others.
No, that's good.
So think of it like this.
Reminder.
It's a tool in your toolkit for influence.
Okay.
Taking care of yourself physically can have a huge impact on how much power you project.
That's good.
So what's the next one?
So the third quality is focusing on others' interests.
Focusing on others' interests.
Right. And
this is
about understanding
being empathetic.
What motivates the people around you, your colleagues, your boss, your direct reports.
I see.
And when you understand what makes them tick,
you
can frame your own goals in a way that resonates with them.
Okay, it's less about pushing your own agenda.
Exactly. It's about understanding where your goals and their goals overlap, So the actionable thing here is to really develop your skills.
Active listening.
Make an effort to understand their perspective.
Look,
what are they trying to achieve? What are their challenges? And then you can position your ideas in a way that benefits them.
Okay, so this is more about communication and
less about trying to manipulate people.
Exactly.
Right? So what is the fourth?
So the fourth quality is standing out.
Standing out.
Yeah. And in any organization, you have to be noticed.
Right.
And sometimes this might involve taking risks or challenging the status quo.
Challenging the status quo, that sounds a little...
I know it sounds a little scary.
A little disruptive.
Right. But he's not saying to be a rebel. Right. He's saying you have to find ways to be memorable and make an impact.
Yeah.
Right. So this could be volunteering for a tough project, proposing innovative solutions.
Right.
Asking the right questions.
So this is more about making yourself stand out in a positive way.
Exactly.
Okay.
So the actionable step here is to think about how you can strategically set yourself apart.
All right.
In a positive way.
All right. So those are the 4.
So those are the 4 qualities.
Interpersonal qualities.
Now let's move on to, let's get into...
The strategic power moves.
The strategic power move.
Okay.
Okay. The first one is network building.
Network building.
And I know what you're thinking.
Yeah.
You're thinking, this is about LinkedIn.
Right. Just adding people on LinkedIn.
Right. It's not about that.
Right.
It's about building genuine relationships.
Yeah. Yeah.
With people.
Real connection.
Both inside and outside of your organization. And Pfeffer talks about this idea of social capital, which is the value that you get from your network.
So who should we focus on connecting with?
You need to think strategically.
Okay.
Identify people who have influence or resources or knowledge that can help you.
Right.
So this could be mentors, potential allies in other departments,
I say,
even people in seemingly unrelated roles who have unique insights. So the actionable takeaway is to identify these key individuals.
Okay.
And build genuine relationships with them. And it's not about being fake.
Sure.
It's about fostering mutual understanding and support.
I got it. Okay, so what is the next one?
So the next power move is resource control.
Resource control.
Now, I know that sounds a little intense.
It does sound a little.
Right.
Yeah.
Nefarious.
But what Pfeffer means is that when you control valuable resources, whether it's information, a budget, access to certain people, you create dependence.
I see.
When others need what you have, you naturally gain influence.
That makes sense.
Right.
So how do we use this in a way that doesn't make us a hoarder?
It's not about hoarding. It's about cultivating and leveraging resources strategically.
So what's an actionable step here?
Think about what resources are critical in your current role. Or the roles you want to move into.
Right.
Are there skills you can develop that are in high demand?
Is there information that you can gather and share that others need?
Okay, so it's about being a valuable resource.
Exactly.
Okay.
It's about being...
What's the next?
A resource.
Strategic power move.
So the next one is strategic positioning.
Strategic positioning.
This is about putting yourself in the right place at the right time.
So being in the right department.
Right. Being in the right roles.
Yeah.
Being on the right projects.
Okay.
Departments that are growing.
Because if I'm in a department that's kind of stagnant.
If you're in a dead-end department.
I should be looking to...
You might want to think about...
Make a move.
Making a move.
Okay.
So the actionable step here is to evaluate your current role and how it aligns with your organization's priorities.
So look at the bigger picture.
Exactly.
I like it. What's the next?
Okay, so the next one is impression management.
Impression management.
We all know people who are good at this.
Right.
And it's about being aware of how you present yourself and your accomplishments.
Okay.
This includes taking credit for your successes, appropriately, of course.
Right.
And also being mindful of how you discuss your challenges.
So it's
about shaping the narrative.
Strategic about how you talk about things.
Exactly. So the actionable advice here is to be more conscious of how you communicate your wins. And make sure that you get credit for your work.
I like it.
Okay.
So
the final power move is building a supportive coalition.
Building a supportive coalition.
This is more than just making friends at work.
Right. So this is like strategically...
It's about identifying allies.
Making friends.
Who can support you.
Okay.
Especially when you're not in the room.
I get it.
So the actionable step here is to identify these people. And think about how you can build mutually beneficial relationships.
So it's a two-way street.
Exactly.
Okay.
It's a two-way street.
So now let's talk about handling opposition. Pfeffer also talks about, we're going to have...
How to deal with...
enemies, right? So that sounds... Pfeffer outlines some strategies for dealing with opposition. Understanding their motivations, trying to neutralize them. But one particularly interesting tactic is... using
social proof.
And this is the idea that getting others to endorse your ideas can be way more effective.
Yeah, if you have other people supporting you.
Than going it alone.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like
having a whole army behind you.
2 other people that support my idea.
Right.
That's a lot stronger than just me.
So
that's how we implement social proof.
The actionable takeaway here is to think about how you can build consensus before formally proposing an idea.
Okay.
Have those informal conversations.
To do the groundwork.
Get people on board. And then when you formally present it, you've already got that support.
Okay. I like that.
Right.
So once you've gained some power, how do you maintain it?
Okay. That's a great question.
Pfeffer talks about a lot of different things.
And Pfeffer has some ideas about this.
What are some of the?
Including things like consolidating your position and staying adaptable.
Okay.
But one key idea is
creating obligations. So that sounds...
No, I know that sounds...
a little manipulative.
Manipulative again.
Right. But what he means is that genuinely helping others creates a sense of reciprocity.
So if I'm doing favors for people, they're more likely to do favors back.
Exactly. And it strengthens your network.
I get it.
Right? So when you do favors for people, they're more likely to support you in the future.
So this is about building goodwill.
Right.
And a network of support.
It's about building genuine relationships.
And helping people.
So what are the main things you want the listener to?
Right, okay. So
let's wrap it up.
From this deep dive.
What are the key takeaways?
Yeah.
Okay, first, understand that navigating power dynamics is a crucial skill.
Yeah.
You can learn it. Yeah. You can improve on it. Secondly, focus on developing your self-awareness and building strategic relationships.
Okay.
Thirdly, identify and manage valuable resources. Make sure your contributions are visible.
Right.
And finally, remember that understanding these dynamics can help you achieve your goals.
Right. So these are all actionable things.
Yeah, this isn't just theory.
Right? People can...
This is stuff you can do.
Start doing today.
Right now. Yeah, so really...
in your own career.
Understanding power is not about being sneaky.
Exactly. It's not about being manipulative.
Right.
It's about understanding how organizations actually work.
And working within the system. Right.
And using that understanding to your advantage.
I like that a lot. So here's a final thought.
Okay.
I want you to think about the power dynamics in your own work environment right now.
Take a look around. See what's going on.
And think about what's one small thing you can do this week based on what we've talked about.
Right.
To understand.
Based on what you've learned today, what's one small step you can take
to better navigate those dynamics.
I love it.
Okay, so thank you for joining us for this deep dive into...
It was great.
Jeffrey Pfeffer's power.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Thanks for tuning in to this deep dive. Stay tuned for the next one and like and subscribe if this helped you. It really helps the channel.
Absolutely.
All right, see you next time.
See ya.
Chat.
Bye.